Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, April 15th, 2013. Well, after last week's terrific Raw with a badass crowd, it's another ordinary Raw and another ordinary crowd. A typical Raw crowd that basically, well, it's kind of sucked crowd. They made up with the last segment, but throughout the night the crowd was kind of booing. And today is, of course, as we all know, is tax day. Well, the champions of the WWE had to pay their own taxes today. And they kind of got a payback from WWE, as we all saw the champs had their own little tax refund, lack thereof. The refund was a beatdown. Every champ tonight, watch, well, with the exception of the tag champs tonight, look at all the singles champs tonight. All the singles champs, whether in championship matches or not, they all got beat down tonight. We even have a new champion crowned this evening. That's how bad of a beatdown the champs got tonight. Plus, 3 possible matches for Extreme Rules planted seeds tonight, which I'll explain those 3 possibilities for matches at the Extreme Rules. As we get to them, plus, CM Punk came to somewhat break his silence, and another Heyman guy is on the loose. And like I said, it's one of the possible matches for Extreme Rules I will predict. Plus, Ryback continues the heel turn he teased last week. So let's get going with, well, a 3-on-1 handicap, 2-on-1 handicap match that stemmed from WrestleMania and, of course, last week. Big Show, Sheamus, and Orton were tag partners. Sheamus and Big Show kind of had their problems as of late, last couple months, to try to work things out. But Sheamus and Orton would tag the Big Show in. Of course, Big Show knocked out both Orton and Sheamus. And Sheamus and Orton both wanted Big Show last week, where they got him with a double knockdown. Well, this week, Sheamus and Orton got revenge by teaming up together against the Big Show in a 2-on-1 handicap match. It seemed that their teamwork in the beginning of the match was going to get them. They were doing some quick tags and isolating Big Show. But the Big Show used this weight to really overpower Sheamus. Sheamus got most of the butt whipping, because Orton got most of the butt whipping last week after the match was interrupted by Big Show. Thank goodness. That match between Orton and Sheamus was boring last week. So Big Show fed on Orton last week. This week, he focused more on his attention on Sheamus this week, especially with another feud for Sheamus, possibly building. Maybe a 4th match for Extreme Rules, maybe predicted. I said 3, maybe 4. Anyway, Sheamus was being beat down in the corner by Big Show for most of the majority of the later half of this matchup. But an electric chair move by Sheamus gave him the advantage he's been wanting. And after that big move, of course, Orton got the tag in, and Orton was all over Big Show, delivering move after move, including a big drop kick to nail them. He even got to do the DDT over the top. It seemed that Orton was ready to do the RKO at first, but then Big Show, as Orton was setting it up, Big Show countered it. It was ready to go for a choke slam, but then Sheamus got in. It got affected. Big Show giving him the bro kick, which wobbled him and woozed him to set up for the RKO and a 1-2-3 victory for Randy Orton and Sheamus teaming up together to beat up the Big Show in a 2-on-1 handicap situation, kind of ending their feud on Big Show. Also, we found out Big Show will be teaming up with another big guy, Mark Henry, against Sheamus and Orton on Friday on SmackDown after a beatdown later on in the evening by Mark Henry. I don't watch SmackDown, so apparently Mark Henry's got a feud going on with Sheamus. Mark Henry attacked Sheamus last week on SmackDown, and during an interview later on in the evening, Sheamus will get attacked by Mark Henry. Got kind of speared by Mark Henry during an interview. So we're going to have a tag match between Big Show and Henry against Sheamus and Orton on Raw and SmackDown. It could possibly be a 1-on-1 situation between Sheamus and Mark Henry. Who knows? Maybe have a 1-on-1 match someday. Probably at Extreme Rules. Now, on our next segment, we got the 3MB coming out. Now, speaking of what also happened on SmackDown this week, I don't watch SmackDown, like I said, 3MB was about to attack Triple H, which kind of led to our next segment and what happened during it. 3MB was going to beat up Triple H, but then here comes the Shield to feast on Triple H, but the Shield got it on with 3MB. 3MB were kind of mad that the Shield was trying to take their spotlight or whatever. So 3MB of all people were going to call out the Shield. Well, they didn't get the Shield. They got the Beast. The Monster. The big thing. Of course, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we have CM Punk talking tonight, but another Heyman guy was on the loose. Of course, I'm referring to Brock Lesnar. Yes, after not being on Raw last week because of course, the situation involving him was supposed to beat up The Rock. The tease was WrestleMania 30. We all know Rock wasn't there last week. And spoiler alert, he wasn't here again this week. Mostly promoting pain and gain. And he's gaining pain. You know. I said on my attack line, it's like stupid. Rock had his huge injury, yet he was still at the fucking premiere for the movie. But Rock may return, but we don't know when. Probably never. We never know, but he probably will. Anyway, 3MB basically got a beatdown from Brock Lesnar. Basically, Brock Lesnar feasted on the 3MB, beating all three of them, including 2 F5s to keep Slater on the guardrail. As Lesnar was raising hell all over the ring, Paul Heyman basically put the collar around Lesnar and pulled the collar. Heel, boy, heel! And Brock Lesnar got to the ring, and Heyman saying, "We're not done with you, Triple H. It's 1-1 in this series. Lesnar beat you at SummerSlam. You beat Lesnar at WrestleMania. And now we must have a rubber match." Now, the first of many matches I think would happen in Extreme Rules Seed Planet tonight. Lesnar Triple H 3. So, like I said, Paul Heyman did challenge Triple H to another match in Extreme Rules. It'll be a steel cage match this time. They're going to go to the extreme. Well, how can you go extreme when it's TVPG? Anyway, but you did see blood at one night when Triple H started the feud with Lesnar for WrestleMania when Lesnar bled a little. Maybe they'll allow bleeding for once. They're calling the universe fans again. Maybe there'll be blood again. But it's the WWE. You never know. So, Lesnar and Paul Heyman, like I said, challenged Triple H to that match at Extreme Rules. They haven't said when Triple H is going to accept on that, if he's going to be on Raw next week. But I expect Triple H to be on Raw in the next couple weeks to answer Lesnar's challenge for this steel cage match at Extreme Rules. With Rock and Lesnar was going to be SummerSlam or Mania. So until they get the Rock thing set with Rock not being able to be there to set up a possible match with Lesnar, Lesnar is continuing his feud with Triple H by challenging him to this match at Extreme Rules. When will Triple H answer the challenge and accept it or not? We'll find out soon enough. Now on to our next match. I mentioned in the beginning, of course, the Champions Beatdown tonight. It all started with the United States Championship match. Kofi Kingston taking on Antonio Cesaro. Pretty good matchup. It was, of course, the high-flying Kofi taking on the strength and power of Cesaro. And Cesaro's power kind of overpowered Kofi for most of the match. Kofi was trying to gain momentum, especially with his high-flying moves. But as you see, every time he flew up the top rope, Cesaro would grab him and caught him in midair and get a big move, like a big backbreaker, like when Kofi was going up the top. Cesaro caught him for a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and he delivered a nasty uppercut to Kofi as well during the match. It was a pretty athletic matchup, pretty decent matchup. Kind of back and forth. Kofi did have most of the advantage, but of course, every time Cesaro tried to come back, of course, Kofi had an answer. But of course, Cesaro had an answer too for every Kofi attack, especially with the aerial moves. But of course, near the end of the match, as Kofi got the backbreaker, they were like going for count after counter. Even Cesaro was going for the neutralizer, which led to, of course, Kofi doing the 1-2-3 attempt, but it didn't happen. It was, of course, counted nail fall to nail fall, and that sequence of like about Kofi and Cesaro pinning each other and both reversing each other's pins, which led, of course, after the sequence of near falls, Cesaro was woozy enough to get the Trouble in Paradise by Kofi. After attempting it many times, Kofi nailed the Trouble in Paradise finally. 1-2-3. We have a new United States champion, Kofi Kingston. Now, I've been calling him the Black Zack Ryder lately because Kofi's been like Zack Ryder. He's been losing a lot. And like Zack Ryder, Kofi has been a former U.S. champion. Now he's U.S. champion again. Ending Cesaro's reign for about 200 days, I think they said, since SummerSlam, beating Santino Marella, who we saw later on in the match, in a pre-show match at SummerSlam on the WWE app, as we all know. Cesaro had a good one. I think Cesaro's a great guy. I think Cesaro's aimed for bigger and better things. Hope he gets a big push after this. I like Kofi too. But Kofi's been U.S. champion. He's been tag champion. He's been IC champion. He's even going to be WWE Award champion. But I like Kofi's personality. I like his character. But he needs to amp it up a bit. Unfortunately, he's set up to be a mid-carder for life. You know, I like him, but he needs to step his character up. He needs to really do something big to really make him stand out. Instead of just some face in the crowd. He's been called mid-carder for a lot of times. So we'll see what happens as Kofi starts his next United States title reign. And we will also see his former tag partner, R-Truth, making a title shot in his near future. We'll find out that enough. I'll tell you about that when R-Truth had his match later on in the evening. Now, speaking of titles, on with our next, well, it was supposed to be a match. Ended up being a segment. Like I said, I told you Triple H and Lesnar was hinted. A possible world title match would be hinted tonight. The seeds were planning for a possible triple threat at the pay-per-view Extreme Rules for the world title. It all started when Dolph Ziggler came out. And like I said, in the beginning of this video, the crowd sucked. Well, there was no reaction for Dolph. You can tell we're not in New Jersey anymore. Anyway, Ziggler came out. No applause. No, not even a little bit of cheers. Of course, Ziggler says, hey, I'm the new world champion. It's about damn time. I'm the best there is, man. I am too damn good. I'm so sick of being sick. You know what I mean? This thing. And it's about being champion. And of course, Ziggler was talking about, like, no one can ever beat me. Which led to Alberto Del Rio coming out. Now, Alberto hobbled and all after his knee injury that kind of helped Ziggler cash in after Swagger did all the damage. Would come out and say, hey, Ziggler, you owe me a rematch. I want to invoke my title rematch now. And Vicky Guerrero said, yes, the rematch is on. But just before Alberto was going to get his chance to reclaim the World Heavyweight Championship from Ziggler, here comes Jack Swagger and Zeb Carter saying, hey, Ziggler, you would not be able to be world champion right now if it wasn't for Jack Swagger weakening Alberto first, weakening the knee so he can cash it in. So Swagger kind of got involved and kind of ruined this match from not happening. As he attacked Alberto first, and then even Big E got involved. And if he wanted to beat up Alberto and beat up Swagger, but of course Swagger ended it with a ankle lock on the ropes, weakening Alberto's ankle more. But Ziggler just watched Swagger deliver the ankle lock and let him weaken Alberto's knee a little further. So we did not get a title match tonight. But like I said, with Swagger interfering in the match, and of course, a match made for later on Swagger against Ziggler, with title implications for Swagger, getting a title match with Ziggler, I say, like I said, a triple threat has been planted. And of course, we would see if Swagger would get the victory over Ziggler to make this triple threat a possible reality later on. Because, of course, the stipulation was if Swagger were to beat Ziggler, Swagger would get the title match against Ziggler. Now, of course, Alberto would answer later to Swagger after getting checked on his knee again, after getting weakened again. So Alberto Ziggler, 2 thwarted by Jack Swagger. Like I said, the possible triple threat seed planted, which may, and more evidence of that seen later on. Now, on our next match, which involved the tag team champions, Team Hell No, teaming up against everyone's favorite whipping boys besides 3MB, and my favorite tag team that should be a tag team contender, the millions of dollars, primetime players. It was, of course, announced another match I thought was going to be an Extreme Rules is going to happen next week. It's going to be Team Hell No teaming up with The Undertaker against The Shield in London. Now, we saw what happened last week with The Undertaker coming out and The Shield coming out to attack him and Team Hell No helping out. I said on my review last week that we would have a possible match at Extreme Rules, and it would be an epic tag match, but it's going to be on Raw. I bet you some screwy is going to happen during that 6-man tag on Raw to kind of hint towards a rematch at Extreme Rules. We'll see if my predictions come true. But why not we had T-Bone No taking on the PTP. Now, PTP looked very good in this matchup for the first half of the matchup, isolating D-Bry in the corner, and getting the quick tags and basically isolating D-Bry for most of the match, beating up on him until, of course, D-Bry got the hot tag to Kane. And Kane came with a house of fire, beating up both of them, which led, of course, to the double team finish, with Kane delivering a chokeslam to Darren Young, which ended, of course, with Kane tagging in his partner for the Flying Goat Splash and a 1-2-3 victory for the tag team champions. The only champions that did not get a beatdown tonight, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video. So there you go. Team Uno gets momentum towards their tag match with Anchors. The Brothers of Destruction will unite to team up against the Shield. Take on Raw next week. That's very interesting. Now, over our interview with Ryback Goldberg. The Ryback, of course, we didn't know what was happening last week with the crowd being, pro Ryback. But Ryback's now apparently heel after attacking John Cena last week, which I fucking loved. And Ryback's interview, some may love it, some may hate it. I'm in the middle. I kind of like it. And Ryback is speaking the truth here. And my logic is, if you're a good guy, you're a good guy. You're always going to be in the shadows of John Cena. You saw what happened to John Morrison. John Morrison was like, in my mind, the next good guy to be WWE Champion. But John Morrison was always living in John Cena's shadow. He would never achieve anything because Cena is the top dog. And of course, John Morrison, as we all know, left. So Ryback is saying that he was a top good guy living in the shadows of John Cena. And Cena would never let anyone overtop him. And that's what happens in the WWE. You cannot, no matter how many times we try to avoid Cena, especially with Rock being champion for a while, John Cena cannot let anyone hold the spotlight for longer than he needs to be. What I'm trying to say is, if you're a good guy in WWE, the only thing you can do to try to beat Cena is to be a bad guy beating up Cena. Not a face against face. And that's kind of like Ryback's case, saying, Cena, I thought you were my friend. I thought I could trust you. But you never helped me when I got beat up by the Shield. And of course, he brought up the biggest fact of all. And that's really going to set up this feud between him and Cena. The fact that John Cena eliminated Ryback last at the Royal Rumble to basically get the ticket to WrestleMania to beat The Rock and to beat the WWE Champion. And I guess it is another match. This is the third match, or fourth match if you count Mark Henry Sheamus possibly, that I'm predicting is going to happen at Mania. John Cena and Ryback for the WWE Championship. And of course, playing tonight, Ryback kind of delivered his own little pipe bomb to John Cena, saying, hey, Cena, I'm sick of being in your shadow. I want the championship. The champion's been in my grasp, but the Shield's been blocking me from it. And now I want you, basically. So the promo, I liked it a little. Like I said, some people may be on the fence about it, but hey, I hope that we really books Ryback perfectly. The last segment we would see later on, as Cena would see what Ryback had to say. And basically, Cena wanted to see Ryback in the ring later on in the evening. That was, of course, our last segment. Ryback Cena in a one-on-one confrontation. To kind of build up this feud a little more. So there you go. Ryback officially here. Talking about trying to get out under the shadows of John Cena and trying to become the WWE Champion at last. Which, I hate to admit this, I don't think Ryback's still ready to be WWE Champion, no matter what he is, heel or not. So there you go. Now, like I said, the continuation of the Champs Beatdown. R-Truth taking on Wade Barrett, non-title match. Of course, Wade Barrett won the title last week against Miz after losing it for a day. The ending was silly, in my mind. The match was okay. I really thought it was going to be a squash, to be honest with you. I thought Wade Barrett was going to win because it's like, hey, R-Truth's not going anywhere. R-Truth may not get a title shot for a while. It's just jobbing. He's jobbing like Zack Ryder, but little than I know. As Barrett was delivering all his big moves, including trying to do the Winds of Change many times. Truth was fighting back in his decent matchup, which ended with, of course, R-Truth getting out of a pump handle slam by the champ and delivering the little Jimmy move and a 1-2-3 victory for R-Truth. I'm very surprised. That was like a silly ending. Like the way it happened was like too quick. It was like what the hell? R-Truth actually fucking won a match, especially pinning the IC champion. So it's like weird. Like Kofi Kingston and R-Truth are tag champions. Kofi's the new U.S. champion. So who knows? Maybe R-Truth may be the new IC champion. Again, I think R-Truth was IC champion for like a week or something. 3 years ago or something. So there you go. R-Truth gets a surprise victory over Wade Barrett. Possibly building up maybe a 5th match for Extreme Rules. I'm thinking about R-Truth and Barrett at Extreme Rules. Maybe the pregame. So there you go. R-Truth gets a surprise victory over the IC champion. I'm surprised too. Now, on with our next situation, which was a tag team affair involving the Great Khali and Santino taking on Team World Scholars. Now, I think World Scholars is my other favorite heel tag team in WWE besides Primetime Players, but I'm so mad at World Scholars have been putting in these silly mid-card. I think they're trying to make them fight from the bottom again. You know, they had to fight Borders and Sweet Tea, and they won that big tag last week, and now they got to fight this silly squash team of Khali and Santino. Of course, the match was mostly kind of sloppy, silly, comic-y, kind of. As Damien Center and Cody Rhodes were dominating all over Santino for most of the match, Khali didn't get in the ring once. Not much wrestling from Khali, just stood there in the corner, which he should because he can't wrestle. Anyway, they even delivered the elbow. The Stain as Rhodes and Santino were working pretty well together. But indeed, as the double teams continued, Santino fought back and delivered the Cobra to Damien Sandow and about to deliver it to Cody Rhodes. But then Cody Rhodes was out the ringside goofing up with Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle was trying to do his own mini Cobra. He hit Cody on the chest. Cody's like, "You're not doing it right." Was it a real thing or was it storyline? But as Cody Rhodes was ready to attack Hornswoggle, Khali got involved, ready to chop the crap out of Cody Rhodes. Santino got distracted by that little altercation, and basically, unfortunately for him, gave Sandow enough time to recover from that Cobra, surprised Santino, rolled him up, held the tights, 1, 2, 3, World Scholars steal a victory. So with that distraction from Cody attacking Hornswoggle and getting attacked himself, Sandow gets the pin on Santino, and World Scholars gets the victory. Hopefully, this will give World Scholars to continue that climb to being the tag champions finally. Now, I want a segment that proved that the South Carolina fans sucked. Of course, Jerry Lawler had an interview with Fandango, talking about the new phrase, the new dance craze. Of course, the Fandangoing. The crowd when Santino came out, when Fandango came out. Maybe this craze may be over before it even began. Sooner than it began. No one did a Fandango. And I like Fandango thing, but he's an okay guy. But I think we were all just believing in the hype too much. You know, I like doing this thing, but unfortunately, I think it's over before it even began. Even Fandango knows it's over. He was trying to get the crowd to get into it. It's like, "You want a Fandango with me? You gotta say my name right." He's still a heel. So, and the crowd finally did it after he left. So, it proves that South Carolina fans sucked. Although I do give them credit for trying to redeem themselves during the last segment involving Cena and Ryback. But still, I think this proves that this Fandango craze, like I said, it was only a weak thing. And, like, the ultimate proof. Fandango's this, it's supposed to be the new yes, yes, yes. Well, more people were saying yes, yes, yes tonight during D-Prize match than saying the doing Fandango. So, basically, the yes, yes, yes is still in vogue, and the Fandango gone too soon. So, Fandango's little push may be over. His 15 minutes of fame just ran out. That's why I gotta say this Fandango dance. I like it, but I believe it's over, especially with a dead reaction tonight from a real boring wall crowd. See where he goes from here. On with our next matchup, which involved Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler. Cause Swagger interfered in the possible match between Alberto and Ziggler tonight. And now he gets a match against Ziggler, like I mentioned. Swagger, if he were to win this match, he would get himself back in the title hunt for a possible match against Ziggler, Dolph Ziggler. Match was okay. It was weird, like you got heel against heel, and plus former tag team partners. Now, using the old Rockers analogy of who's the Shawn Michaels of the team and who's the Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, the more successful one, the one who's a WWE Hall of Famer, the one who's been multiple WWE champion. Dolph Ziggler is, of course, to many people, meaning myself, that he's the Shawn Michaels of the team. And Jack Swagger, despite being world champion, he is many people's minds the Marty Jannetty of the group. So, but they've both been former world champions, so it's hard to call Jack Swagger the Marty Jannetty of the team. But knowing his lack of success lately, despite Zap Coulter, I think Swagger knows why he hasn't been champion. Smoking it up. Anyway, it was an okay match. Swagger, Ziggler, followed a very athletic matchup between these guys. The fans didn't know who to cheer on. Basically, almost everyone cheered on Ziggler, despite the crowd not even popping for Ziggler or anything. I think they're finally on Ziggler's side when they realized, wow, Swagger sucks. We gotta cheer on Ziggler. We gotta find someone to cheer on, even though they're heels. Anyway, Swagger mostly dominated later half of the matchup. Swagger looked very good against the new world champion and his former tag partner. But Swagger was going for his big move because Ziggler started fighting back as well. And even Ziggler blocked this Swagger bomb. And Dolph delivered a great counter to DDT. But Ziggler was going to get the finish with the Famouser, and that's when Swagger caught him and drops him across the top rope, which led, of course, to Swagger getting a pin and the win as the champion's beatdown continues, like I mentioned. Wade Barrett got beat down by R-Truth. And Terrence Cesaro got beat down by Kofi, the new champ. And now the beatdown continues with Swagger beating Dolph Ziggler. But Swagger wasn't able to relish in his victory over the world champion, pinning the champ. Swagger was celebrating, and here comes Alberto, injury and all, to attack Jack Swagger on the ramp, tossing him off the ring with a big enziguri kick, which ended with him putting the cross-arm breaker against the wall entrance stage. Like on the edge of the stage, they're like having Alberto put the cross-arm breaker on Swagger. So like I mentioned, even though Swagger got the victory over Ziggler, gets himself a title match, well, we still got Alberto, who still hasn't cashed in his rematch clause, waiting in the wings. Like I said, triple threat, Extreme Rules, Swagger, Ziggler, and Alberto, possibly. So we'll see how it develops in the weeks to come, especially the pay-per-view not being for a month. And let's hope that WWE really relishes on the time frame. Now, on with our next segment is involved CM Punk bringing his silence. Sort of. About losing to The Undertaker. He took his time to speak. Like, he was like trying to speak. He was trying to put, maybe we're going to be trolled like Jericho did last year. Anyway, CM Punk finally said, I've been the champ for 400 days. And then I faced the ultimate challenge of The Rock and lost to him. What was next for me? Well, going up against The Streak, The Undertaker. Of course, CM Punk said he took Taker to the limit, which he did. He really put on a great fight. The only good match of Mania, if there was anything considered good or great at WrestleMania this last week. But as Punk was talking about how he took Taker to the limit, Punk was basically speechless for once and walked out. I said maybe Punk, it maybe take a break for a while because of still nagging injuries. So who knows where Punk goes from here? He lost the Taker. He walked out. Who knows? Maybe this is a segue for Punk taking a break, which I think it's much needed. I like Punk and all, but he's been in our face every week. It's time for him to give us a break from him every week and him take a break from to get injuries and hopefully come back stronger and better than ever, physically, mentally, and character-wise. Now, on with our main event. Caitlyn and Nikki Bella. I fell asleep. Psst. Who wasn't falling asleep during that Divas match? Typical Divas match. Trend magic. They switch. Bree switched with Nikki, and the other Bella got the pin and the win over the Divas champ. That's another continuation that even the Divas champ got beat down tonight. Every champ got beat down or lost a match. Even the Divas champ lost a match. So, Bella's win, Twin Magic, let's move on. Typical Divas match. And like I said, I fell asleep doing it. I hope everyone else was too. Now on with the last segment. John Cena calling out Ryback. I'm here. You're there. How about you? Why? Back your way here or something, So he's using these wild phrases. And I said that the South Carolina fans suck tonight, but they kind of redeemed themselves by chanting booing at John Cena. Despite still mixed, more cheers than boos, unfortunately. But the weird fans kind of made up for it by chanting booing during Cena. And Cena's like, well, I watched Ryback's interview, and Ryback's interview was booing. Well, they weren't chanting booing at Ryback. They're chanting booing at you, Cena. Anyway, Cena was saying, hey, Ryback, you say you're a big threat and you're under my shadow? I'm the champ, blah, 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 blah. I beat everybody. I beat Shawn Michaels. I beat Triple H. I beat Orton. I beat the what? You say you're a big threat? You ain't shit to me, basically. And Ryback, you want to attack me from behind? You make your move, Ryback, and we want to see, do you want a shot or not? Make the first move. But before we would get a chance for another physical altercation with the Ryback and Cena, Ryback walked out. That's when the Shield came out. I think they kind of had an error. When Ryback came out, I think there was a weird camera shot backstage seeing the Shield getting ready for their segment. Intentional or not, it kind of gave away that the Shield was going to come out, which they did. And of course, Ryback talked about the Shield causing him a match. But as Ryback walked away, and Shield entered, Shield beat up on Cena. And of course, Ryback, playing the heel now, didn't want to help Cena. Hey, Cena, you never helped me? I'm not helping you. I'm the heel now. So Cena got basically a 3-on-1 beatdown. And when the Shield realized that Ryback was basically saying, come on, boys, feed you more of Cena, they delivered the triple powerbomb on Cena as Ryback just stood on the ramp and watched Cena get pummeled by the Shield. Of course, the champion's beatdown, getting the cream on the top of the cake, the creme de la creme, the icing on the cake, Cena getting his ass beat. So we had all the champions, with the exception of the tag team champions, getting either losing a match or getting a butt whip like Cena did tonight with the Shield. So we had all the champions losing matches are getting beat down, including a new U.S. champion, and 4 or 5 possible matches stand up for Extreme Rules. Possibles that we are not sure if they're Extreme Rules matches or not. Sheamus and Mark Henry, R-Truth against Wade Barrett for the IC Championship, and 3 possible big main events for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Cena Ryback for the WWE Championship, triple threat between Bono, Swagger, and Ziggler, and Triple H and Brock Lesnar in a steel cage. Triple H accept or not, we'll probably find out next couple weeks. Of course, next week, we're in England. We saw England crowd nuts for TNA. How wild would the England fans go for WWE, especially those that were in the U.S. for Raw last week in New Jersey? Of course, we know the big 6-man tag, Shield against the Brothers of Destruction and Daniel Bryan. So we'll see what happens next week on Raw. That is it. And as we all know, London crowds are crazy. They're going to be way better than this South Carolina crowd. That is it for my Raw review for tonight. See you all later. And once again, thoughts and prayers to families affected by the Boston Marathon tragedy. With that in mind, you've been attacked by this review from Zach. See you all later, everybody. Have a great night.